You don't need to go viral. You need content that connects, converts, and doesn't burn you out in the process. Here's Jenny Melrose to tell you how.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to get to speak to you all. I'm assuming most of you are from Texas, just because I know that's where Kate is, and that's where the majority of her work kind of exists for the most part. I am just north of Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm going to share my screen and go through some of the marketing strategies that I want to talk to you about today. The one thing that I do want to tell you, I'm a former inner city school district teacher. I tell this to everyone whenever I am presenting. I am used to having chairs thrown at my head because I was inner city. So I have no problem with adults unmuting and asking me questions. So please do not be afraid to ask me any questions. You can interrupt at any time. I will try to keep an eye on the chat. The hard part for me is that once I go to share my screen, it's really difficult for me to see the chat. So I am okay with you unmuting and just saying, hey, wait, stop. Let's go back to that. So that is not a problem. I just kind of wanted to preface everything with that so you can make sure you get your questions answered. I am going to hit share and I will get my screen pulled up so that you will be able to see my slides. We're going to go through this, not that, this, and we're going to share.
I'll keep an eye on the chat for you too, Jenny.
Perfect. And interrupt me at any time, like I said. Not share. I want to present. That's what I meant to hit. That's perfect. Thank you. Present. There we go. Okay. Perfect. All right, so you are here from Couch to Click, building a marketing plan that works for your therapy practice. So some of you may know I have worked with Kate probably for the past 3 to 5 years as her business coach. She has worked one-on-one with me as well as worked in my mastermind program, and she is also a member of my insiders group, which I'll tell you a little bit more about towards the end. If you do not feel comfortable asking me questions in front of everyone, you'll notice my Instagram is at the bottom of all of my slides. Please feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. I'm happy to answer the questions there if you don't feel comfortable speaking in front of the group. That is not a problem for me at all. And it is me. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. The shorter one is actually me in that first picture. I am not only a former inner city school district teacher, but I was a basketball player that played in college. I am now 5'5". We just recently found out that I grew an inch since being in college. I was 5'4" when I played in college. But I have learned throughout my entire time that being able to be the smallest in the room made me more willing to do the things that other people wouldn't be willing. Also kind of made me a dinosaur in the online world. I have been online since 2009 with my businesses. So Instagram did not exist. TikTok certainly did not exist, and Google Plus was a big thing, if anyone knows what that is. But I not only was a basketball player, but I am a business coach. I do mastermind programs with my clients. I run a membership. I'm also a first-time author. I wrote my book, Influencer Entrepreneurs, the 4-part framework for building your audience, growing your business, and making money online, and it came out in 2020. April of 2020 to be exact. It happened to be perfect timing because that was, of course, when the world shut down and everyone came online. And that book really walks you through what we're going to kind of dive a little bit into. It goes more in depth into that as well. It can be found all of your local bookstores. I'm also a podcaster. I have been podcasting for, good Lord, 10 years. Just sounds so weird to say. So there is a lot of content over there as well. If you go into your favorite podcasting app and search Jenny Melrose, I will definitely pop up and you will see my very blonde face on there. That lets you know it is me. And there's tons of content over there as well. So if you hear something today where you're like, I want to know more about the strategies she's teaching, podcast will dive into that. Now, I'm going to warn you, I also have 2 daughters, and it is 6 o'clock over the summer right now. They are 12 and 15 and a half. And I also have 2 dogs. So if chaos ensues and breaks out, do not be surprised. Please give me some grace. We are doing our best to keep everybody quiet as we go through, but we never know what's going to happen. So one of the things that when I work with a lot of my therapists, one of the big questions I always ask is whether or not you're ready for a marketing plan that is aligned to your professional ethic. One of the conversations I continually have with my therapist is that when it comes to marketing, they often see it as a form of manipulation. They feel like they are over promoting themselves. They are just talking about themselves. When in reality, marketing is helping people find you when they need you. So I want you to kind of have this shift in your mindset and reframe the way that you potentially might have looked at marketing, and look at it more as a way that if you don't put it out there, that you offer these services, that you do these things for people, then it's kind of being selfish, because now when they have the problem and you could solve it, they can't find you. So we're really going to talk about different ways today where you can make sure that they're able to find you. You're in the back of their mind because you've already done the marketing. You may not find that you put something out and they're in your office the next day. Marketing is really about a long tail game where they're going to end up in your office 6 months, 2 years, and it may not even be them that ends up in your office. It could likely be a friend or family because they are aware of what you offer. So I want you really to start to think about marketing as a way to help the people find you that need you. The way in which we're going to do this is we're going to break down my PAC framework. It's the framework that's going to make sure that you're really clear on who it is that you're trying to bring to you. This is something that I find a lot of people will often struggle with, because we have this ability, or want to do, is to cast this wide net where it's going to bring in every single person. We are for everyone. We are too afraid to say, nope, these are my people. I work with police officers' spouses, and I'm only working with those that have only been married for less than 10 years. Whatever it might be, we are too scared to niche down, when in reality, niching down and getting really specific on who you are meant for is going to attract those ideal people, as well as a larger net that you may find you will go outside of what you initially were trying to reach for. So we're going to talk about this PAC framework in detail so that you can get a better understanding, making sure that your marketing is in line for who you are looking for and how to make sure that they find you. The first piece is positioning and what makes you uniquely you. This one, I can't even find her because she looks so different now. This one right here is mine. She's actually much blonder now. But what is it that makes you different? How are you different from everyone else that's out there? And oftentimes we think that this has to remain in this tiny little square box of it being, I have all of these ABC alphabet letters behind my name of what I am certified in. When in reality, if you are able to talk from a standpoint of connection in what you have in your background and what you have done previously, that's where the connection actually comes, and that's where positioning comes in for you. So when we're looking at positioning, we're trying to figure out what makes you unique. This can often come from really understanding maybe your family background. What does your family look like? What did it look like? What does it look like now? When you are trying to figure out how you can set yourself apart, all of these things are going to come into play. The next one may be your school life. What was your education? Where did you go to school? You want to give people an opportunity to immediately know you're their person. I had a conversation actually today with a coaching client, also a therapist, and she immediately said to me, I know that if someone meets me, that I'm a good fit for them, they're going to go with me. She goes, because I'm me. I am going to tell them exactly the way that it is, and they're going to recognize that and know that I'm authentic. You want that to come across, and you want someone that's going to be okay with that. I'm also, not only do I live in North Carolina, but I am formerly from New York. I don't always sit well with a lot of people because I can be very bossy. I can be very upfront about things, and I may not be for everyone, and we have to be okay with that because we are meant to attract those that we can ultimately help. The next piece might be your extracurriculars. If you know Kate, and I'm sure many of you do, you all know that she plays in a band. What makes Kate different is when you were seeing her on social media, she brings in what she can offer for all of you with the pain points that she solves, but she also gives you a point of connection. It isn't just the square. It is Kate, who she is and what she loves. Your life experiences could very well be a part of it. It gives an opportunity for clients to potentially connect with you without, of course, crossing lines where you're uncomfortable. And then the last would be your personality. I kind of touched a little bit on this, but your personality, the way that you approach people, the way that you talk to people, the way that maybe you give them a chance, maybe you're a listener and you give them a chance to just kind of sit in the quiet and give them an opportunity to talk out what they need to talk out. That is where they're going to have this ability to connect with you. And you need to know your positioning because it is what is going to make you stand out and give those people an opportunity to choose whether or not they're the right fit. Now, with the marketing content we're going to talk about, that's how you're going to get in your positioning. The next piece is your authenticity. You lead with your heart. This is actually my private podcast for my premium members that they get 3 episodes a week. And this is the photo because this is very much the way that I am. I talk with my hands. I have a habit of telling you exactly what I'm thinking. I think this morning I was told 3 times I'm bossy, but thank you so much. It's just what you're going to get. And that is what people are going to connect with. When they can see your actual authenticity of who you are, what your goals are, and how you are trying to help them, that makes all the difference. And what ends up happening when you are authentic is they tell all of their friends, they tell their family, they end up giving you natural referrals because they authentically can see what you believe in, what your heart is, and how you're going to help them. This is where not only is your practice becoming part of your legacy, but your legacy is giving you the opportunity to not reach 1 to 10 people that's in your office, but it gives you an opportunity to reach many. Because when you're teaching the skills that you're giving them in the therapy room to one person, it is very likely that if they have a family, they are passing those skills onto their family members. And with this opportunity, it provides you that chance to make sure that you are getting those referrals, getting more people, as one of my clients likes to say, butts and seats, so that you can potentially create a practice that goes beyond maybe just private practice, but maybe you end up having multiple people that are working for you, and potentially the idea of being able to create courses or workshops that could be done virtually rather than having to trade your time for money by being and having butts in the seats. So this provides that opportunity for you. The next piece of the PACT framework is the confidence. Knowing that you can confidently tell people what it is that you are going to be able to help them with. They can tell. Now, one of the things that a lot of people will talk about is the fact that, oh, she's so confident, she was born with it. And I truly believe that no one is born with confidence. It is like a muscle. You work it, the more you work at it, the better you get at it. Now, one of the first steps is to fake it. And I don't mean, especially after I just told you to be authentic, that I want you to pretend you're someone that you're not. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in order to do something for the first time, you have to act like you've done it before. That's the only way you're going to get better and more confident in it. The more that you do it, the better you become. The more people you have in your office, the more the clients that you work with, you become more confident with those people. So getting through and pushing through that awkwardness that you can often feel, probably the ability of feeling nervous and scared, being able to fake it, do the things that need to happen so that you can get better and better at it, being able to practice it so that you have more confidence as you go along. The next piece is to manifest it. You have to talk about what it is that you want out of your practice to others, to more than ChatGPT and AI. You have to be talking to your actual family, a friend, telling them what your big dreams are for your practice. And if those big dreams are to speak on stages, let that be part of it. If you want to be able to run a retreat, let that be part of it. You have to put it out there and actually visualize it and manifest it in order to help it happen. And this is where the state it comes in. The more you tell people of what your goals are, the more you're going to not only feel held accountable by yourself, because now you've told someone else, but it's likely they're going to check in on you. How are things going? Where are you with that? I recently had a friend that actually did that this morning with me. Oh, I know you have a huge retreat coming up in November. How is all the planning going? I went, oh, I'm in the middle of summer and I want to talk about this right now. But she's holding me accountable to keep me in line with what my big goals were. And that's what we want to make sure that we are doing by having all of these put together. The fake it, the manifest, and the stating it is going to lead to more confidence in what it is that you're doing so that you can hit those big, scary goals that you've set for yourself. The next piece is kindness of the framework. And I know it seems like it wouldn't be a good fit, but I promise it's going to make sense. Kindness is going to come not only from listening to your audience, understanding what their pain points are. A lot of times, what I have found with the therapist clients that I work with, you all like to use therapy language. You use what it is that their problem is instead of thinking about what it is that they are actually struggling with. So, for example, if we were talking about someone that is a police officer and or EMDR, you do EMDR, you work with trauma, you are talking about resiliency. Is that a word that your actual people are going to be using? Are they going to understand that they need to be more resilient? Or are they going to say, why do I feel like crap? How do I get out of bed? Like, you have to make sure when you are listening to your audience and to your people that are in your office that you're understanding the language that they're using, because we're going to use it in our marketing. We're not going to talk about resiliency unless we're using it in a way where we've already defined it and they understand what that is. Another one is I have, I know when we might be a therapist to a police officer, there's something, I can't think of the word, of course, right now, where he automatically will go back to trying to do something. And it's a word, hyper, oh my God, not hyperactive, but yep, not coming to me. It's something hyper.
Hypervigilant.
Oh, thank you, Sandy. I appreciate you. See, I love that you interrupted me because it made me feel better about it. At least I was in the beginning part was right. Hypervigilant, clearly not a therapist for police officers. My therapist that does work with them likes to use that word all the time. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Maybe some of your people will know what that means if they've been with their officer for 15 years and they've heard that from a workshop or from something that he said. But if you've got a newer wife or a partner in, they're not going to be searching for hypervigilant symptoms. They're searching for, why is he such a psycho and sitting by the door and always having his head on a swivel and reacting to certain situations? Those are the words that you have to use, and you have to know that to use it in your marketing plan. The other piece of kindness is giving yourself some grace. As therapists, I have found that a lot of you are perfectionists. A lot of you like to overanalyze what it is that you're doing and think that you can always do it better. And I don't think that it's wrong that you should be looking for ways to improve, but you have to give yourself some grace. You have to understand that your path is your path only. Just because someone has a huge practice with 10 people, 10 therapists working in it, doesn't mean that that's the right fit for you. That doesn't mean that you should feel less of what it is that you have accomplished. So understanding and making sure you take a step back from what you're doing, because in my eyes, therapists are all small business owners. If you're private practice, if you're working for a practice, you're all small business owners, and a lot of the marketing that you have to do has to be done by you, potentially someone on your team, but still you have to understand it. So knowing that you need to give yourself some grace is going to be key with this. And the last piece with kindness is that you have to remember your journey is yours. You probably have gone through some struggles in your life that have changed the path that you thought you were going to be on. There are always, COVID is a perfect example. There are tons of examples. A family member gets sick. You end up having to take someone in that's part of your family that isn't yours, maybe. There's lots of situations, and you always need to take that into consideration. And in the same token, you need to know what your goals are. Your goals may not be to run $1 million practice. Maybe you're not good at running other people and managing them. So if that's not your goal, why are we looking at what someone else is doing and going, oh, I should be doing better? Apples to oranges. Remember that your journey is yours. All right, so let's talk about marketing channels because this is the big piece of what we need to know. We talked about the PAC framework, which is what you're going to use in your marketing channels. All of the copy, the language that they use, the way that you're going to connect with them through positioning, all of that is going to come into that. The first thing that is essential to stand out in 2025 and moving forward is a website and SEO. Now, SEO is just search engine optimization. I know it sounds really scary and crazy, but really what it means is what are people typing into Google in order to find the solution to their problem? That's what SEO is. And in order for you to come up higher than someone else, you need to answer the question. And when you answer the question, make sure people are finding it is the best answer they can. They're staying on your website. They're going from one article to the next article to the next article. Your website needs to represent you and who you are, your values, but it needs to be written to a standpoint of who your ideal client is. It shouldn't be written from the standpoint of I have done this, I do that, I have EMDR certification, I have taken 30 million CEs, whatever it might be. It's written from, if you're struggling with this, this is what we're going to do. You're showing them the transformation that they're going to go through through your website. Your website is also an opportunity where you want to be able to grow your email list, because we're going to talk about the importance of having an email list to do email marketing. That's going to be also one of your marketing channels. I can't resist because I always go back to email. When it comes to your website, you also have an opportunity that if you want to do speaking, you can have a speaking page and let them know what that looks like and where you've spoken in the past and what they can expect to get from you. If you wanted to do workshops or a course that is digital so that your clients maybe that are in your therapy room, maybe you do something for the parent if you work with kids, or you do something for the spouse if you work with couples. Anything like that would also be included on the website, as well as content. And that's the next piece that we're going to talk about. Your content marketing is going to be blog, podcast, and YouTube. And you're answering the questions that they have, which is why it was so important before when I said to you, don't use the word resiliency, don't use hypervigilant. That's not what they're searching for. They're searching for why, how, and that's what you want to answer. Why your officer is acting like this. How you're going to be able to pick yourself up out of bed, how to deal with grief, how to deal with shame, any of the things that you have that you can recognize and they recognize, those are the pieces of content that you're going to be creating. Now it says blog, podcast, or YouTube because I believe in repurposing. I think it's really, really important that if you're going to put content out, first, I recommend that you start with one that you're really confident with. If you've never done this before, I'm not going to say, oh, you need to do all three. I am not that person that's going to tell you that. I want you to get started with one and get comfortable and confident with it and see how quick you can do it. And then ideally what I would love to see is if you're choosing writing and you're going to write a blog post, that's fine. Ideally, your next step would be to go to YouTube. If you're comfortable in front of video, I cannot stop singing all the praises for YouTube. It speeds up the opportunity for people to get to know you. Because of TikTok and Reels and the crap that people consume, they have glazed eyes when they look at content now. So in order to really get through to people, we need to be on YouTube, long form video, answering a question and giving them all of the solutions that they could have that they need in order to have a solution. Now, what I teach to my members of my Insiders program is that you take your YouTube, you turn it into a podcast because you pull the audio from it, and then you take the transcript from that and turn it into a blog post. So from one YouTube video, you end up with 3 pieces of content, plus you can do social shares if you had to. Now, I know for some of you that are not marketing at all, you're like, holy crap, lady, you're absolutely insane, which is why I started with, if you're more comfortable just writing, start with a blog post. But it's important that you understand what are the words that they are using to find the solution for their problem, the problem that you solve. And I want you to get really specific about the problem that you solve. Get clear on that. Who is your ideal audience? What age are they? What are they struggling with? What is their family makeup? Are they divorced? Are they single? Do they have an elderly family member that has to potentially live with them? Depending upon what you're dealing with. If you're working with grief, shame, police officers, whatever it is. So really start to get clear on the content so that you can put that out there answering the questions that they have. This is how you're going to get found by others. And you, again, this isn't going to be, oh, you create a blog post and ring, 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 you've got a new client. It doesn't work that way. Someone is going to read that article and that you're going to sit in the back of their head so that when they're ready to go see someone or they hear of someone needing someone, they're going to recommend you. That's what this content marketing is all about. The next piece is email marketing. The idea behind email marketing is you want to have something that you have direct contact with your people. And you would use your email marketing to continue to educate them. So you would offer them a guide, something simple, 5 tips to help feel more confident dealing with shame. Let's just say as an example. That guide is what they would get. You would get their email in exchange for the guide. And then you're going to email them when you have new content come out so you can continue to educate them. So they continue to feel like they know you, they like you, and then they trust you enough to become a client where they are getting their butt in the seat. So email marketing is going to be key when you're looking at marketing channels. And I've kind of done these in the order that I recommend when you are first starting. If you are already putting content out and you do not have email marketing going, this is where you got to get to this. Because otherwise you're putting content out there and people are just going away afterwards. If you get their email, you can continually let them know about new blog posts, new podcast episodes, new YouTube videos that you may have. So it's going to be key that you need to do that. The last piece of marketing I will always believe in is networking. Whether you are networking with other therapists, whether you are networking with, let's say you do child play therapy, networking with daycare owners, going into the daycare owners and offering them up something to let them know, hey, this is what I do, this is what I offer, no pressure whatsoever. Here's a great way. I have a podcast that teaches, that does tantrums for 2-year-olds, clearly a client I have. Recommend it to them so that they can just listen to it to be able to help them in the actual classroom. What will end up happening is when they have a child or parent that comes to them that says, hey, we're really struggling with getting on time to school and my kids are having tantrums all the time. Well, here's a great podcast that I have heard about. And then they listen to it and that's where the client will come from. So really having this ability to network, to create those relationships with those that are our other therapists. So you can have a networking of saying, okay, if someone needs this, I can send them to this one. If someone needs that, I can send them to this one. But also thinking about networking with the businesses that would be in contact with your people. So if you deal with grief, potentially looking at, and I know it seems odd, but a funeral home and offering them 10 simple tips that your family needs to know during their grief, what they need to plan for. And then offering that to the funeral home, because again, if someone comes in, it's going to be something that they are going to have at the top of their mind because you're offering value. It's always about that value that you're providing. All of you became therapists, I would believe, because you are very heart-led. You wanted to help people. You wanted to make them feel better about the life that they're living and to live a more fulfilled life. It's not always easy. I know that there's ups and downs, but that was the purpose of where you started. So why not offer this as an opportunity for others to know how they can connect with you, how they can make sure that they are getting the services that they may need or that their family and friends are getting the services that they need. Your marketing channels are going to be key to helping you with this. I know that a lot of you, at least from what Kate has said and what I've heard other clients say to me, is that you want to do Google AdWords and you want to be sponsored and you want to, some people will throw money at ads on Facebook or Instagram. Start free. Figure out what language your people are using and the marketing that you need to do before going through and paying to have other traffic coming through your door. I'm gonna leave it at that. I was gonna say something else and I changed my mind. If you were ready to grow your practice, I wanted to offer you all, I believe Kate may have put this in the chat or she was going to send it to you all. This is my strategic growth plan. Ignore this title. I don't know why that's there. But it's a strategic growth plan that's going to help you really create a content plan for what it would look like. What would you be putting into it? How would you make sure that your pain points are being hit upon? And then it'll give you a calendar to kind of prepare you for consistently putting out content, getting in front of your audience. Now, one of the things that I talked about in the beginning, I mentioned my Insiders program. It is a monthly membership where I do 3 trainings per month and then 1 group coaching call. The marketing that we are talking about is exactly what I teach. I go into depth so that if you don't understand SEO, there's trainings all on SEO, keyword research. If you're wondering about email marketing, if you're trying to figure out your website, I am your marketing friend. If you were to scan this QR code, it will bring you through Kate's affiliate link to the checkout page for Insiders, and then we would access you through a Facebook group, and I do all of my calls live via Zoom, just very similar to this, so that I can get questions answered. Use this code B of B at checkout, and it'll give you 40% off every single month. So normally the membership is $49 a month. With Kate's affiliate link and this code, it'll drop it to $29 a month. Do you all have any questions for me? Feel free to unmute. You can wave your hand at me. It'll show a raised hand too.
While everybody's deciding, can you hear me, Jenny?
Hi, Kate.
Hi, sorry I was late.
Oh,
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
And I want to interject just some things because you're doing this webinar for a CE. So while you guys are getting up your nerve to ask a question, please ask questions. One of the things that doing this type of marketing, what it does for your ethics. So one of the examples, I don't know if Jenny gave this example, is for your waiting list. Like if you have a waiting list for your services and you're able to offer your clients, potential clients, a newsletter or some access to a video where you're giving them 3 ways that you can use play therapy or 3 things that you can do before you start couple counseling, right? That is addressing that issue of people just kind of languishing out there waiting for you. Another thing about ethics is to understand that all of this content that you're creating, that you're writing, is within your scope of practice, right? It's within your expertise. So those of you who are supervisors out there, you're going to want to be knowledgeable about this for your associates as they're doing their marketing, right? So if they're saying like, I'm an EMDR expert, or I am able to do, magical hypnosis or whatever it is, you're able to monitor that so that their content that they're creating, their TikTok dances and their videos and things, they're staying within their scope of practice. So everything Jenny's talking about, right? This is putting out words, it's putting out video, it's putting out audio that will attract your ideal client, but it stays within your scope of practice, right? All of the things, Jenny, you call them content pillars, right? The things that have to do with what you are able to do, whether it's grief or couple counseling or family counseling or EMDR, play therapy, what is, how to, 10 ways you can, all of those things you can write content or speak content into a camera and then let the transcript do the work for you. But I wanted to make sure you guys had that piece of this as well, since this webinar is also a CE for you. So if you have questions about that.
I have a question. So Jenny, and I think maybe Kate, I'm going to need your advice. When I did finally create my freebie giveaway thing. I finally got that on my website. Very proud of myself for at least getting it on there. I think I've had 2 people find it.
Yep.
That's it. Like, nobody has found it. So I remember when I put it on, I'm on Squarespace, and I know one of the things that it said, there was something to click about if the person doesn't want to be on the email list, but they want to get the freebie, they could get the freebie, but I wouldn't get their email or something like that. Is that an ethical, how does that work with collecting email? I know, Jenny, you had mentioned once we have to have like an unsubscribe thing on there. And can you just talk more about that?
Yeah, so when it comes to like the landing page that you're talking about, or the button that you have on your website for people to actually subscribe, in my opinion, if they click on it and they want a guide, they can receive it. If they then decide they need to unsubscribe, they can unsubscribe. You have that with any email service provider. Like, that is part of it. And they have to confirm in order to get that guide once they get the email. So ethically, you are covering yourself. Like, it's on there. My forms will say you will not receive any spam, any of that kind of stuff. Like, you get me and me only
Right.
often. But they know what they are getting based on that form. Like, you're telling them this is your guide, and they can see by now in 2025, people understand that if they give your email address, they know they're getting something in their email.
Okay.
Yes.
So why is nobody finding me?
So I have lots of questions about that. Where is it on your website is my first question.
I wish I could answer that. I don't. I'm on vacation, so I have vacation brain right now. I'm like not thinking, but I think it's got a separate tab. I think
Okay.
there's a separate tab for it.
So that's part of the problem, because
Oh,
people have to actually click around to find it. Ideally,
okay.
what we want to do is we want to have that form on the homepage. So right on your homepage, when they come in, I want like something towards the top that says, do you want this guide? Like, do you want whatever it is the guide is? And
Okay.
they click, put their email address into. Then, so you have it here at the top, and I would also recommend it down in the footer. It's called a squeeze.
Okay.
You're squeezing all your content so that if they scroll past the first one and they're like, oh, I'm looking at what she offers and all the great things, and then they get down to the bottom, they're like, huh, I'm interested. Then they may opt in. It can be the same exact opt-in. It doesn't have to be a different guide, but you want it to be on that homepage so they can easily find it.
Okay. And it doesn't have to be a pop-up thing, right?
It does not have to be a pop-up. It does not.
Okay.
I recommend, like, it's okay to have a pop-up as long as you're like within the Google terms of like what you need to have in order to have that pop-up, which most software will make sure that it's compliant at this point. But I actually would recommend that you have it right at the top of your website and right at the bottom. Not as a pop-up, it's part of the actual like presentation of it. If you go to my website, jennymelrose.com, you'll see it right there. Like, it's very clear. Kate's website is set up that way as well. So it's set up so that it's right at the beginning. You can see that it's Kate offers webinars. I offer a guide. Down at the bottom, she's going to offer something else. I do as well. It's that squeeze page of what you're looking for.
And
Okay.
Sandy,
Thank you.
if you find that something doesn't work, I mean, I had it like 5 opt-ins at one time, different ones.
Oh, okay.
And there was one that just, it was a dud. It just, nobody opted in. It was, so I changed it up. And that's, and people are going to unsubscribe. I mean, Jenny, you taught me that. It's like, okay,
Right.
unsubscribe, that's fine. But people who truly want what you have to offer, like if you're giving information about how to grieve over the holidays, well, they may unsubscribe once the holidays are over, but then the following year they're going to recommend you to 5 friends because they're like, oh my gosh, there's an amazing website that has these great resources.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's also the words that you were using. Again, like my opt-in at the top says, tired of trading time for money. You want them to immediately read a question and go, yeah. And then it just says, get the strategic growth plan guide. Click here. And it takes them right to it. You want to hit them with that pain point so that they immediately see themselves in it and then want it. If you
Okay.
just say get your guide and they don't know what it is, or it has a little tiny picture or whatever it might be, they're not going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of
Okay.
course. I also noticed in the question and answer here, not comments, that's what it's called. Sorry. Also same brain, Sandy, but not on vacation, just menopausal, and woo, today has been brain fog all day. I also, like Kate, use Kit. There are lots of different softwares that are out there. There's Flowdesk. Kit is, it used to be called ConvertKit. Now it's just kit.com. Is by far one of my favorites, especially if you are going to offer products and services outside of just the practice. So if you are just going to have people coming in to get butts and seats, and that's your only goal, I wouldn't necessarily recommend Kit. It can get expensive. It's very robust. You can go with something simpler. Flowdesk, MailChimp, MailerLite is also another great one. Those would probably be the 4 that I would recommend. Other questions?
So I'm going to talk about ethics real quick in mail, right? Understanding that you have a mail system for clients. That's protected health information. That has to have a BAA. That has to be HIPAA compliant. You're going to communicate maybe through your scheduling software. Hey, your appointment's tomorrow. Don't forget you have an appointment. By the way, we're confirming you have an appointment. And then you're going to have marketing software. This is your MailerLite or your Flowdesk or Kit, and this is only for marketing information. Now, back in the day, if you hit reply all, that was going to ruin HIPAA, right? Because you hit reply all, everybody could see everybody else's email. It was not good. So I want you to think in terms of the survey you get after you go to your physician's office. Everybody gets a survey after they go to the doctor. Well, the doctor isn't breaking HIPAA by sending you a survey asking you about your experience. They're using marketing email at that point. So you setting up 2 systems it's not complicated, right? Because you've got your client software, the scheduling software that's going to talk to your clients as a clinician. Then the other software for your marketing, but here's where you can use it together. You can put in a confirmation email for an appointment to your clients a link to your opt-in. Hey, your appointment's confirmed. It's not for 2 weeks. In the meantime, click this link and you can get 5 ways you can get your 5-year-old on the bus in the morning when they get back from dad's house on Monday. And that, again, you're not breaking HIPAA. You're not doing anything unethical. You're simply giving your clients another resource that they're going to love because they need it. And you're also giving them something they can recommend to friends and family.
Yes. Good explanation, Kate. Thank you. Erlene, I don't know if I said your name wrong. I'm sorry. Go ahead and unmute.
Oh, yeah, I've been thinking about doing this for such a long time, and I'm just starting to get motivated to do the website and the blogs and the posts and all that sort of thing. But I fast forward and I think, so I know you have to have a social media plan. I have family members that understand all that. And after a while, does it get like sort of oppressive? Like, okay, it's the first Monday of the month. I got to churn something out. And, how do you stay motivated to do it?
It's like anything else. I feel like in life, really, like sometimes it's got to be hard to go into the therapy room. Oh, I got to meet with so-and-so today. There's days where you're going to feel like that. In order to get around that, because like Kate, I travel a bit and also take the summers pretty much entirely off for the most part. I batch my content. Everything is batched ahead of time. So if I'm going to do, I have 10 years of podcast episodes. We have not missed a week in 10 years. It's a bit insane. It's awesome. My perfectionism comes out in that way. That's why I let you all slide with it. When it comes to the batching, like I know that as soon as summer hits, my house goes bananas. My kids are just here. It's a lot, and they're not even little anymore. So by May 15th is when I normally have my deadline. I need to be scheduled until August 15th with episodes. And the way in which I do that is I will sit and I'll know exactly what I'm going to be recording, and I will have it outlined, and then I just hit record and I go from one to the next to the next. And I change my outfits because the way that I do things, I need to, because it's more personal branding side of me. As a therapist, you don't necessarily need to change outfits or be in a different shirt or anything like that. Sorry, the sun's coming in really weird right now. But I just will batch all of that content so that I am ahead, so that I will have the entire summer not having to worry about any of it. It's all about figuring out what works best for you and getting on a schedule. You don't have to put out YouTube like once every 2 weeks when you first start is awesome. Like that's a great place to start, once every 2 weeks. Then I want you to add in email, and I don't want you to worry about social media. I know that sounds really weird from a marketer standpoint to say it, because everyone's like, oh, get on Instagram, do TikTok, get on Facebook, do all the things. Here's the problem. Social media is not about taking action. Social media is about mindlessly scrolling. They are only getting awareness of you. They are not actually consuming and hearing and getting problem solved. They're getting a that was funny giggle off of something that you said that probably is something that maybe came from inside your practice that they can relate to. They're not even following you necessarily. And half the time, if they are following you, the algorithm doesn't even show them to you. Plus, social media is rented property. You do not own it. They can take it at any point. I mentioned Google Plus in the beginning of this presentation, that some of you may know of what it was. I had 660,000 followers on it. And I was consistently over there, but I was dumb and not growing my email list at the time. And they went, bye-bye, totally gone. Every single person, never had a contact with those people unless they came and found me a different way. And that can happen with anything. Instagram, Facebook, we never know what is going to happen, which is why you hear me talking about content being blog, podcast, and YouTube. And
Okay.
YouTube, yes, it's a social media platform, but the way that it has changed, even when I look at my analytics, so like understanding where traffic is coming from, people are not watching YouTube like on their phone for me. They're watching it on their TV. And that just to me like blows my mind that people are sitting in their bed and they're going, oh, let me watch a podcast. Let me watch this on. That's how people are using it now, because YouTube TV has become such a big thing. That's how people are searching for stuff and they find other videos. I believe in it right now, especially, and I think moving forward, like you got to have video. It's just a way for people to connect with you. They're going to understand, ooh, I don't like them. Like they have a weird accent. They talk too fast, whatever it might be. And others are going to go, yep, that's my person. I know her. I know what she's going to say. I know her mannerisms. I know how she's going to hesitate. I know how she's going to talk about how she has brain fog every once in a while. I get her. And that's perfect. That's what you want. You want to get rid of the people that you are not a good fit for. And the
Right.
best way to do it is definitely video.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I'm just very aware of momentum and how important that is. I mean, it's important for our clients, and so I just wonder, it sounds like it's pretty automated and you just maybe make notes as you go of topics and
Yes.
okay.
Yes, that's exactly what I teach inside Insiders. Like we go through this whole idea of having a content plan for each month wrapped around a specific topic so that you can stay consistent. It's about creating systems. The systems that you have created in your practice to have a new client come in, the onboarding, the scheduling, the continuing to come back to you, I teach you how to do that for your marketing.
Okay.
And if things get big enough and think you are able to hire, you're able to take those systems and hand it off to someone else and pay them to do it.
That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Of course. Sandy, I see you. Go ahead.
I have another question about, well, a question, I guess, about content. So you listed the three, the YouTube, the blog, and the podcast. And I don't see myself ever doing a podcast. I could be wrong, never say never. But I feel like I want to start with blogs
Yeah.
because of what you just said. I can kind of sit and write those out and sometimes pop out two or three, right? And get them kind of all together. How long do they need to be though?
They need to completely answer the question that, or the pain point that you're trying to solve for the people. There really isn't like an ideal. I would say you have to be over 500 words. I will say that. But there isn't like an ideal. Like I have read sometimes people will have 3,500 words on a blog post, and it should have been 4 blog posts. Like when you're looking at creating your content, you want to think about, okay, what is like a problem, not a huge problem, but a smaller problem they first have to get over so that they can then go to this problem, then this problem. And there's probably different ways of looking at that problem. So really trying to hone in on that is key. I really talk a lot about and done a lot of trainings on keyword research. Kate and I worked in depth on that for like probably her year 2 with me, understanding what words people are using to search for to find the problem so that you can then create content that answers that and has it in there. There's a way of making sure that it's all aligned. And starting with a blog post, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes like for me, it's clearly easier for me to talk. Like I could talk all day long. You can clearly see that. Others may feel more comfortable writing. And as long as you get started, that's all I care about.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions? I'm checking the chat too. I don't see anything else, Kate. I don't think I missed anything.
Did you talk about AI?
I didn't go into AI, but I love that you asked that. You know I could talk AI all day long.
I know.
So there's 2 different things about AI. First thing, I'm trying to make sure I say this the proper way. It is a tool. It is meant for you to train it. It is not going to know you and your people and what it is that you do the first time you go in and use it. The more information you give it about the problems that you solve, the better its answers are, the better it is to help you. So for example, if I can now, like my book, perfect example. I took the PDF from my book. It's over this shoulder, not that shoulder. I took the PDF from my book and I put it into AI and I said, this is my book. Give me some podcast episode ideas, titles that I could potentially use based on the book so that I could promote the book. It spit out like 15 different podcast episodes. I was then able to take that, do the keyword research, go back into AI or ChatGPT was the one that I use. And I ask it to outline. Give me an outline for this title. I already have my title. I know what it is. It gives me the outline and then I record. That's it. Some people want to use a script. I'm not a script girl. You could see from my slides, like that's what was on my slides is exactly what I use. That's my outline. That's how I'm going with it. It's how I talk. It's how I kind of deliver all of my trainings because I just feel it's more authentic. It's who I am rather than me trying to read something. So using AI, any sort of tool like that, making sure that you train it on who you are and what you do. If you have an opt-in, give it the PDF. If you have a blog post, copy and paste the blog post into it so that it better understands what you are trying to solve for other people, how other people can find it and use you and get into your office or use your products and services that you may offer. I'm reading this in the chat, thoughts on development and some mental health related. Am I able to share that content on my social media page? Ethical point of view, since we don't share personal information. So, Kate, you can weigh in on this too. In my opinion, yes. I also have daughters. I have teenage daughters. So I would definitely have a conversation with them ahead of time of how comfortable they are, and there will probably come a point where they're like, "Ew, take that off, erase all the things." I think it's more like, to me, it's not an ethical standpoint. It's more the daughter parent relationship more than anything else that I personally would be concerned with, because when you share things from your social media, okay, yes, when you share things from your social media, it's your level of expertise. You could share someone else's video that you found on YouTube that you think would be a great resource. I don't see any ethical issues with that, aside from making sure that she's good with it, which you obviously said she was.
Yeah, I'm with Jenny. As far as your ethics, that's really up to you. I mean, ethics are really more about, when it comes to marketing, just being accurate, making sure that you're staying within your scope of practice and not overpromising and guaranteeing things that you can't guarantee. All right, Jenny, I'm going to stop because we are at 5:59, and you guys look at the QR code. Jenny, you still have your PowerPoint up, correct?
Yes,
And
the QR
and I've got people asking in the chat where you can find the information, your certificate, things like that. In your Kate Walker training profile, when you click on this webinar that you signed up for, everything's in there. The webinar number for your certificate, that is on the Google form as well. We did post that link again. And if you missed the QR code or you missed one of the link to Jenny's guide, that is also in your profile. We wanted to just make sure it's all in one place, because I sometimes don't like email. Email sometimes doesn't like me. So we just wanted to make sure you have it. So if you have questions for Jenny, please, Jenny, they can reach out to you and just ask questions, right?
Yep, my Instagram is on there, as well as if you go to my website, you will find it there. The strategic growth plan is on that jennymelrose.com. It's right at the top, because again, I believe in that squeeze page. And I am happy to answer any questions at any point.
Yes. And she's wonderful. She's my business coach, in case y'all didn't guess. But everything I learned about creating content, SEO, attraction marketing, and now that SEO is, kind of getting blown up by AI, she's helping me pivot. So I highly recommend her services to get your practice. If you're looking for growth, if you're looking to get things to a different level, or you're just starting out, as you can see, Jenny, you were a teacher before this, right? I mean, that's what you did. You were a teacher. So if you guys couldn't tell. So thank you guys so much for joining on a Thursday night. Jenny, thank you so much for being here. And I will see everybody when I see you. Take care.
Thank you so much, Kate. And thank you all for attending.
Bye. Ready to stop building content for the algorithm and start building something that's sustainable? Subscribe now. This is where therapists become content-driven CEOs.